And the Lakers don't need LeBron to sell tickets, just like they didn't need Kareem to sell tickets, just like eventually they found out they didn't need Shaq to sell tickets. There's always somebody in LA making a debut. I think LeBron's smart enough to know the torch has been passed in LA. And this has always been, the Lakers have always been a pass the torch organization.
The Los Angeles Lakers seem trapped in a difficult position. They are not struggling enough to begin a full rebuild, yet they also are not strong enough to be viewed as a true championship contender. At the heart of that situation is LeBron James, the very player who has long been expected to bring relevance, title hopes, and sustained success to the franchise. Instead, the Lakers now appear caught in a cycle they have been unable to break free from. And when Colin Cowherd publicly starts asking whether the organization should finally move on from LeBron, it is no longer a fringe opinion. The discussion has become legitimate. It is an uncomfortable topic for many fans, but it may also be one the Lakers can no longer avoid.
LeBron James has not played this year. He will not reportedly go on the Lakers' 5-game road trip. He's got a sciatica issue. That's a nerve in the lower back, and also where Napoleon was exiled to, sciatica.
Here is the part that often gets overlooked. The Lakers' problems are not only about injuries, roster flaws, or bad luck. The issue runs much deeper. It is about the way the franchise has been built and the philosophy behind its decisions. When an organization centers everything around a superstar in the later stages of his career, every move becomes focused on the present instead of the future. Trades become win-now gambles. Young talent is viewed as assets to be sacrificed rather than players to develop. That has largely defined the LeBron era in Los Angeles. Future draft picks have been moved, supporting casts have constantly changed, and the team has struggled to establish a lasting identity. Rather than building for long-term success, the Lakers have been trying to extend a shrinking championship window. And with each passing season, that window appears to be closing faster than the organization would like to admit.
LeBron James has no influence on free agency moves, says an NBA front office insider. The Lakers are excluding him. They should. He's 41.
Then comes J.J. Redick, and this is where the conversation takes a different turn. While most of the attention remains on LeBron's legacy, Redick has quietly begun introducing the principles that define today's NBA. Floor spacing, player accountability, constant ball movement, and developing talent from within. Those are the foundations of successful teams in the modern game. Colin Cowherd's point, and one that many believe deserves more attention, is that Redick symbolizes the Lakers' future, while LeBron represents an earlier era of basketball. That is not meant as an insult. It is simply a reflection of where the franchise stands today. One is focused on creating a sustainable team system, while the other has spent much of his career as the centerpiece around which everything is built.
The Lakers ruled LeBron out for the game that's going to be tonight against the Thunder. It doesn't seem like they're really thinking that they're going to have a great chance to win that one.
This is where the situation becomes more challenging. When a team's entire approach is built around the needs of one superstar, it can limit the growth and effectiveness of everyone else. Watch the Lakers' offense closely. At times, the ball movement slows down, the attack becomes predictable, and too much depends on LeBron making the correct decision on nearly every possession. That formula was easier to sustain when he was in his athletic prime. As a player approaches his 40s, however, the demands become much greater. The room for mistakes gets smaller, maintaining defensive intensity becomes more difficult, and instead of evolving with the league, the team often finds itself simply trying to stay afloat. In today's Western Conference, just staying competitive is rarely enough. The numbers also suggest this discussion goes beyond simple narratives. LeBron continues to produce remarkable statistics for a player at this stage of his career, but the overall impact is more complex than the box score alone can show. The Lakers' performance has often fluctuated depending on which lineups are on the floor, while defensive consistency has remained one of the team's biggest concerns. Compare that with younger contenders such as the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Minnesota Timberwolves. Those teams have established identities, clearly defined roles, and appear to be building towards something bigger each season. The Lakers, by contrast, often seem to be reacting to circumstances instead of following a long-term vision, while their younger rivals look like organizations executing a clear and deliberate plan.
It looks to me like the Lakers have accepted reality that they're not going to be the 3 seed. They got to prioritize LeBron's health. He's played a lot of minutes in the last week.
If it was me, I would put LeBron in bubble wrap the rest of the week. I wouldn't play him again. I would try to just give him as much time as possible to get ready for what's almost certainly going to be a first-round series against Houston. Certainly doesn't seem like Luka Doncic or Austin Reeves should be available. If they're not available...
This is where many young stars face their biggest challenge. They sometimes hesitate before fully taking ownership of their team. That is the situation many believe Anthony Davis has found himself in. If the Lakers hope to build a successful future after the LeBron era, Davis will likely have to become the foundation of that next chapter. But stepping into that position is difficult when the offense, the leadership, and most of the attention continue to revolve around LeBron. It creates an unusual dynamic. Davis may be the team's most complete two-way player, yet he still is not viewed as the unquestioned focal point. Until that balance changes, the Lakers may continue to struggle with finding a clear direction. At the same time, the rest of the NBA is moving forward at a rapid pace. Teams like the Boston Celtics have emphasized depth, continuity, and chemistry throughout their roster. The Denver Nuggets have built a system that maximizes the unique strengths of Nikola Jokic through disciplined team basketball. Meanwhile, emerging talents such as Victor Wembanyama are reshaping expectations for what modern players can do on both ends of the floor. The game continues to evolve, becoming faster, more versatile, and increasingly driven by teamwork and adaptability. The concern for the Lakers is that they often appear to be chasing success with an approach rooted in a previous era rather than fully embracing where the league is heading today.
They're not going to lose any sleep over LeBron being bummed out. They're going to upgrade scouting, and my guess, they are eventually going to find their wizard, their guru, their GM.
The front office deserves attention in this discussion as well, because nearly every major decision is viewed through the same lens. Should they trade another draft pick? Will a new player fit alongside LeBron? Does this move align with the remaining years of his championship window? That approach is designed to maximize the present, not necessarily secure the future. It reflects the mindset of chasing one final title rather than building long-term stability. If that championship never comes, the organization could be left with fewer assets, an unclear direction, and a rebuilding process that becomes far more difficult than it needed to be. There is another challenge that rarely gets discussed: coaching. Whether intentional or not, managing a roster that includes a player of LeBron's stature creates unique circumstances for any head coach. We have seen similar conversations with previous coaching staffs, and it naturally raises questions about how much freedom J.J. Redick has to fully establish his own system. Coaching a superstar of that magnitude is not only about X's and O's. It also requires navigating leadership dynamics, expectations, and the influence that comes with one of the biggest names in basketball. That makes the job far more complicated than it appears from the outside. This is where the Lakers face one of their biggest organizational decisions. If they continue trying to satisfy both the present and the future at the same time, they risk falling behind the rest of the Western Conference. The league is becoming younger, deeper, and more competitive every season. Without a clear long-term direction, the Lakers could find themselves caught between two timelines instead of fully committing to one. Eventually, every franchise reaches a moment when it has to decide which path to follow, and many believe Los Angeles is approaching that point now. None of this takes away from LeBron's extraordinary career. He has earned his place among the greatest players in NBA history. But even the most legendary athletes cannot outrun time forever. Every all-time great eventually reaches a stage where organizations must balance respect for the past with planning for the future. Kobe Bryant experienced it. Michael Jordan experienced it as well. The difficult question has never been about greatness, it is about recognizing when the next chapter should begin. If you look closely, there are reasons why this conversation continues to grow. The inconsistency, defensive breakdowns, heavy reliance on isolation basketball, and the absence of a consistently defined system have all fueled concerns about the team's long-term direction. Those are challenges championship teams usually work to eliminate rather than accept. At the same time, J.J. Redick's vision reflects many of the principles shaping today's NBA. A system where multiple players contribute, offensive structure takes priority over individual brilliance, and long-term development matters just as much as immediate success. That is the type of foundation many successful organizations strive to build year after year. Moving beyond the LeBron era would not erase everything he has accomplished with the franchise. Instead, it would represent the beginning of a new phase. Every great organization eventually transitions from one generation to the next. The challenge is creating enough room for that new era to grow without constantly comparing it to the one before it. There is always risk in making a major change, but remaining caught between two different timelines carries risks of its own. That is why the biggest question surrounding the Lakers has become impossible to ignore.